Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming. The new competitive mode for Battlefield 1 Incursions has launched in closed alpha. The 5 vs 5 frontline / conquest style game mode looks fairly promising. DICE is clearly trying to appeal to the average Battlefield player, while still giving veteran players a reason to dive into the game mode. Whether that design philosophy will work out for Incursions in the long run remains to be seen. This is the closest DICE has come to a dedicated esports support from their games in the history of Battlefield. As someone who has dabbled in the competitive Battlefield scene, it's exciting to see this kind of support from DICE. That said, Incursions is still a long way from complete, and only time will tell if it makes a lasting impression on players in the esports scene. In other Battlefield 1 news, a fix for the out-of-sync bug has been deployed on the CTE. These bugs typically cause rubber banding when performing actions like vaulting over walls and through windows. Initial reports seem to indicate the issue has been fixed. DICE are doing further testing to ensure it stays resolved. The developers of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds aren't too happy with Fortnite's Battle Royale mode. Citing several clear similarities between the two games, Bluehole issued a press release stating their concern that Fortnite may be replicating the experience for which PUBG is known. These similarities include the airdrop system, 100-player matches, a shrinking zone of engagement, and others. Other games have done similar things, and PUBG isn't honestly the first game to do them. But what makes Fortnite stand out is that it's being developed by Epic Games, the company behind the Unreal Engine. PUBG runs on Unreal Engine 4, and the devs have a close professional relationship with Epic. Promotional materials for Fortnite also mention PUBG in several instances. Bluehole is considering further action but haven't clarified what that means. Fortnite's Battle Royale mode will be available as a free-to-play experience next week and is launching on consoles before PUBG makes it to the Xbox One X. The latest patch for PUBG was a smaller one. One of my personal favorite fixes that it made though is where they fixed a graphic bug that would cause a black box texture to appear while scoped in when anti-aliasing was set to very low in the settings. And I was having this issue a lot. People thought I had some sort of weird like UI overlay turned on or something like that. Nope, it was just a weird graphics bug that could really throw your aim off. So this is a nice fix, and there's a few other small fixes in there, but nothing major. The patch notes also mention players are no longer allowed to modify the game's config files to bind multiple actions to a single key. Players have been using a custom key binding to enable crouch jumping with one key. Jumping and crouching at the same time makes you jump higher, which makes getting over walls and other obstacles more consistent. It's fairly easy to do without a custom key bind though, and frankly, anybody with a keyboard that supports macros, which is like 90% of gaming keyboards these days, you can still bind it in the macros if you really wanted to. So although they fixed it in the settings, it's kind of weird to me that they're trying to fix this issue right now, since they're coming out with a vaulting system which should replace the whole thing regardless. The new fog weather effect exposed a few issues with how the game renders weather effects, prompting Bluehole to force post-processing on for all players. One such issue was fog being less dense with the inventory screen open. Enabling post-processing turns on effects like depth of field blurring, dark interior shadows, and other effects that can upset the competitive balance of the game's visuals. Fortunately, Bluehole is still working on various in-game effects and options, so this recent change is most likely not final. Going forward, it would be nice if Bluehole made it so that post-processing was divided into multiple settings so people could mess with them as they saw fit. As personally, I like to mess with my graphic settings, and post-processing encompasses a lot of settings that I don't necessarily all want to be on or off. Also, something that's pretty exciting is that PUBG is getting a new vehicle. The classic VW camper van was the first of 3 new vehicles revealed this week following PlayerUnknown's Reddit AMA. In that AMA, he mentioned 3 new vehicles were in development for PUBG. The remaining 2 are still a mystery. When the camper van will make its way to the game hasn't been announced. I imagine we'll probably see it on the new map though. Also, during the AMA, PlayerUnknown talked about several key areas of the game. Some of these highlights include a rework of the blue zone is being discussed. A total balancing of sound is in progress, including the deafening plane and vehicle effects. Proper penetration physics for wood, water, and other materials is being worked on. A prototype nighttime weather effect has been in testing that looks promising. Major improvements to the first-person system are in planning. Better vehicle physics, a ranked mode similar to CSGO's, server improvements including more availability in less populated regions, crosshair customization, and much more. A full summary of the AMA will be linked in the video description. If you guys are interested in a full breakdown of the AMA, let me know in the comments. Ghost Recon Wildlands PvP is now in open beta. Players that register can dive into the long-awaited mode on their platform of choice. I played it on my Twitch channel this week and overall I really enjoyed it. Before getting my hands on the beta, I wasn't really sure what to expect. If you enjoy Wildlands, especially in co-op, I'd say the PvP is worth checking out. You don't need to own the game to play the open beta, and I'll leave a link to the registration in the description. Rainbow Six Siege is getting a totally new recoil system. The change was prompted by a YouTube video showing just how misaligned bullets were with the actual weapon optics. This offset is apparently caused by how the game renders guns and the game world at a different field of view values. To fix it, recoil will be multi-stage, meaning each bullet in an automatic spray can have a unique recoil value determined where it lands instead of just general randomness that's applied to the entire spray. CSGO does basically the same thing, with each gun having a fixed recoil pattern that allows for very minor deviation per bullet. The end result of the new system for Siege will be every bullet landing where your reticle is pointing. The new system divides all automatic weapons into families by type. So all the LMGs, for example, are in one family of weapons. Each family has the same kind of recoil pattern, with each gun having small differences that make them feel distinct in their group. And while it does solve the issue of bullets not going where they should, it does potentially open the door to macros that defeat the recoil entirely. Because the game's anti-cheat can't detect such macros, more testing needs to be done before the new system is finalized. The new recoil system was available for a limited time on the game's technical test server. The devs followed up the test period with a post on the technical test server subreddit, making it clear that these changes aren't set in stone. Adjusting the recoil system was just the easiest way to tackle the alignment issue, and other options are also being explored. The new Overwatch map Junkertown is now available. It's a great map for sniping with long sight lines and big open areas. The big changes to Mercy have also been implemented. Mercy's resurrection ability is now a standard ability with a 30-second cooldown. Her ultimate enables full flight, chained healing, and more. She's now more popular than ever, with teams picking her as a healer almost 100% of the time. Only time will tell if Blizzard plans on adjusting Mercy's balance. The official story trailer for Call of Duty World War II has been released. From what it shows, the upcoming titles campaign will probably be in a similar vein to the epic World War II movie Saving Private Ryan. The campaign involves liberating a concentration camp from Nazi control and members of the Allied forces being captured and rescued. Graphically, the game looks pretty darn good, which is good news for the Xbox One X owners, as the new console will be able to run COD World War II in 4K. 4K support was already confirmed for the PS4 Pro and PC platforms. In our final bit of news this week, Valve implemented a new review system to combat review bombing. Steam users will now see a histogram of review scores that give an overall picture of how the game has been rated over time. Before this change, a game's review score could be dropped significantly almost overnight. Now it should be more obvious when the system is being abused to express dissatisfaction with something not directly related to the quality of the game itself. The new system also makes it more obvious when a game has been improved or more well received over time. Anyway, that about wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.